Basketball fans, welcome back. So in this video, we'll be talking about Podcast P. So Podcast P, Paul George, has reposted 228 podcast clips, but only made 191 field goals, sparking so much frustration among the Sixers fans over his priorities. So Paul George has more YouTube podcast clips than field goals since joining the Philadelphia 76ers. This is a major concern because this is a man that he has been given a 4-year, $212 million contract, and he's been making headlines for the wrong reasons, to the point where he said he doesn't want to play the 5. He's missed so many games, and he's somebody that a lot of people in the Sixers nation have lost confidence in as a key contributor to winning championships. But the crazy thing is, why didn't the Sixers front office and fans see this when PG was playing for the Clippers? Because the man was underwhelming, and the Sixers became the schmucks that gave this man a $212 million contract for 4 years, only to record podcasts after games and dry snitching players in his team. So Paul George's arrival to the Sixers was supposed to signal a new era for championship contention for the Sixers. Instead, that $212 million contract is looking to be one of the most expensive contracts for somebody who does podcasts. So a stunning statistics came out when people say that, or even when it came out that PG has 228 podcast clips, more than 199 field goals when he's playing for the Sixers. Mind you, PG was signed for the Sixers to play, not record podcasts. Leave the podcasting to podcasters. If you're a basketball player, stay on the court. I mean, a lot of people had a lot of things to say about him, and he's been very underwhelming to the point where these things are coming out, and it's reflecting poorly to even the nation at large. People in the Sixers fan base do not like this because they have suffered under Ben Simmons. They suffered with somebody who refused to shoot. Now we are seeing, after moving on from Ben Simmons, they had James Harden. They couldn't do anything with him because he left because there was that issue with Daryl Morey. Then right now we have Podcast P, somebody whose focus is mainly on recording the best podcast episodes and not looking at how he's going to be able to help this team win games. So that is a huge problem. So it's the Sixers are not happy at all, and the Sixers are looking at that money and looking at even Joel Embiid not being able to play well, and you only have Tyrese Maxey there. So it's not looking good at all. And the Sixers right now are not looking like a team that can be able to challenge for a championship. So it's not looking good at all. So in 32 games, George is averaging 16.8 points, 5.3 boards, and 4.5 assists, while shooting 43% from the field and 37% from deep. While those numbers are not terrible, they are far removed from superstar production, especially from someone making over $50 million a year. So compounding matters, PG has missed 19 games due to injuries, including a recent 5-game absence. Since returning, he has struggled to find his rhythm in the system, scoring just 9 points in one game and 14 points in the next. So the Sixers are a team that are 20-31, sitting 11th in the Eastern Conference, and are on the verge of missing the whole playoffs entirely. They're not even in the playing tournament contention. So it's not looking good. So Embiid has only played 15 games this season due to injuries, and Maxey has also missed some time. Many around the league are now questioning whether the Sixers should tank instead of pushing for a postseason run. So Paul George's Podcast P with Paul George, launched in March 2023 and has gained significant popularity. The show features NBA discussions, personal insights, and interviews with fellow athletes, making it a favorite among basketball fans. So, however, some Sixers fans are frustrated that George seems to be more engaged with his podcast than with his play on the court. The viral stats comparing his YouTube clips to his shots made fuels the narrative that he's prioritizing media over basketball. That's why a lot of people are even saying, think before you talk, keep quiet. There's this time I even saw he mentioned the Clippers and say, the Clippers are like the B team. So the worst possible thing that you can even say for a franchise that mortgage the entire future for you. I mean, very insensitive. So Philadelphia signed Paul George to be a leader, but so far he has not lived up to his expectations. At 34 years of age, he's closer to the end of his prime, and his $211 million contract could become a burden if his production does not improve. So with Joel Embiid's injury history, Maxey's rising stardom, and Paul George's struggles, the Sixers are at a crossroads. They want a championship contender. Instead, they have a team that is in the verge of missing the playoffs. If George wants to silence his critics, he should focus on the game and stop with the podcast business because it's not looking good at all. And I must say, you can even look at an example of a Draymond Green. So Draymond Green, he has his own podcast where he goes out and speaks, but you can see it doesn't hinder his productivity to play, and he knows how to multitask. But looking at a PG, he's more known as podcast P. He's not playoff P. At some point when he played poorly for the Clippers in the bubble, he was even known as pandemic P. So, and it's sad because I knew Paul George when he played for the Indiana Pacers. When PG was in Indiana, the man was just strictly hoops, and he was somebody that I really rooted for, and he's somebody that I really followed at the time. He's not a guy who was touted as going to be. He's not looked at as somebody who's going to take over the NBA and be the face, but he was a solid guy who could be able to play. But looking at the way he's been regressing, he's not somebody who looks like he prioritizes playing basketball like that. He's more invested in his media. He's more invested in, shooting the most podcast episodes. And he should leave the podcast business to actual podcasters and people who are in media. And he should focus on playing basketball because he clearly shows that he can't even multitask. And even if he leaves, goes ahead and leaves and finds a way to play well. Let's say he leaves the podcasting business and focuses on playing. He'll be able to justify that $212 million contract that he signed. But it's unfortunate that we have a situation where in this player empowerment era, the players just can't be told anything. So I would be expecting like PG to be traded the way Luka was traded to the Lakers. But anyway, it is what it is. So what do you think about Podcast P? Is he somebody who's serious in playing competitive basketball, or or is he okay or content with the money that he's receiving? Because $212 million is a lot of money. And there are some players who just play for the money and they play for the next contract. Maybe PG is one of those guys. I think the losses that he has encountered when he was playing for OKC, playing for the Clippers, he's never been able to get to where Pacers PG was. I know the man suffered a very gruesome injury way back in 2014, but this is about like 10, 11 years ago. So he's supposed to be able to rise above that and be able to go ahead and contend. But it's very unfortunate that you see a player with so much potential and talent, he's aging away. And if you look at his peers, somebody like Jimmy Butler, still contending for championships, took that Miami team to the two finals in 2020 and 2023. But PG is yet to play the finals. And the closest that PG has ever gotten to the finals was when he was playing with the Pacers and he matched up against LeBron James, the Big Three Heat. So, PG, podcast P, playoff P, pandemic P, whichever you want to call him, is he doing it the right way? Is he serious about playing basketball? Because if he wants to focus on podcasting, the man should just quit or should just quit playing basketball, retire, and just focus on the media. Because it looks like he enjoys podcast P more than playing basketball. So it is what it is. So do drop me your comments down in the comment section what you think about this. I'm very frustrated with podcast P. I really used to watch it, but when I saw it's affecting him and his rhythm in the game, I don't encourage it at all. Should I leave it to the specialist and should focus on playing basketball? That's the only way. Because if he doesn't, the Sixers fan base are going to come at him. So it's not good at all. So do drop me your comments. I'm out.